This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Teré Foster. Because our last interview has such an amazing comments and so many people wishing to know more about the ARC7 projects, me and Tere have decided that we're gonna shoot a 7-part series on her book just in order to present it to you and present the ARC7 project in much more detailed ways. Welcome to the show, Tere.
Thank you.
In your book, you wrote that you were diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disease in 2020. Can you tell us more about how did that came about? What happened?
Well, just a lifetime of kind of overcoming and lots of challenges that I go into the book, but it's kind of depressing. So, but it's a book about happiness. And so to start out depressing is kind of a good contrast. But the PTSD diagnosis was given to me in 2020 by a doctor after a divorce and loss of my home and my family. It was a big deal, and I had already been through a lot up to that point, and come from a background of abuse and those, common themes that we have in America. And so I went to the doctor with a list of symptoms that were just troublesome, and none of them were life-threatening, but they really impacted my ability to function. So I went to the doctor with this, trying to figure it out, like, what is going on with me? And she said, it's PTSD. I was like, come on, that can't be true. Like, how could all of these symptoms, like an itchy ear or pain in my jaw or pain in my stomach or like even problems in my legs. I mean, it's just like head to toe issues. And she says, yeah, it's all PTSD. So I had to study it up. I had to figure it out. What is PTSD? Post-traumatic. What is it? PTSD. Post-traumatic. I can't even. Stress. Disorder. That's right.
It was first diagnosed with soldiers coming back from the war zones, and
it seems impossible that the level of stress that I had been enduring could be compared to something like a soldier. That just seems impossible. But evidently, complex PTSD is an accumulation that happens over time and can have the same symptoms. So that's that's the scoop on that one.
In the 70s and in the 80s, post-traumatic stress disease was, as I mentioned, more related to soldiers, but nowadays is really common. You also write about that in the book. Can you share a bit of data on how common is the post-traumatic stress disease? And we already talked that for you the trigger was not, or the stress that caused this PTSD was not being in the military and enduring fighting for years, but you were just experiencing it, and it had cumulative
Life on Earth.
Yeah. So why would you say that is so common right now in US and also globally?
Well, when I started studying it, I noticed that there were a lot of people with complex PTSD. But I also noticed that the symptoms of complex PTSD were common, like across the board. So let me look at the list of symptoms, like stress, obviously. Says 83% of US workers suffer from stress, just from their job. And then tension, that's a result of that stress, depression, anxiety, insomnia, eating disorders, loneliness. Harvard calls loneliness an epidemic, and emotional detachment, negativity. We find that a lot in America. I don't know what you're encountering in your country, but
yeah, it's the same all across the globe right now, and also media is talking a lot about it. But most
so with these symptoms, what I see is that all of them are on the rise. As if you go online and just study one of them, they're all on the rise globally. So that got my mind thinking. It's like, okay, I first was studying in relation to myself, but then after seeing it like that, where they're all on the rise globally, each of these symptoms separately, it's as if we were, as a humanity, as a whole, we were experiencing PTSD. So I got this idea, that it's global PTSD.
Okay, that is interesting. And what is even more interesting and intriguing is that most doctors have advised eat more of this, do more of that, and so on. And you came out with a completely different solution to the same problem. Can you tell us more about your solution to this global pandemic of PTSD?
Okay, the quick version is that if the whole globe is feeling the same pressure and stress and pain and suffering, it came to me that it could be like a lot of people online are saying that it's to do with the planetary alignment and the shifts, and and that we're all going through it together for that reason. But then I wondered if it was also has to do with other things that are common around the world, which is a culture of separate lives, detachment of relationships, and doing everything yourself. It's like this, individualism that makes you only think of yourself every moment of every day because you're trying to reach some specific goal. And it doesn't bring in the connection that we need to feel whole, feel like part of a society or part of a team.
Okay, that is really interesting. And one of your answers was that you believe that arcology is the solution to the PTSD. Can you elaborate first what is arcology, how it came about, and why do you believe that arcology is solution to PTSD and other diseases or modern disease of you're experiencing globally?
Well, I saw. I'm a spiritual person. I was praying about my life and I was crying about my pain and blah, 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 studying all these symptoms. And then this kind of a vision came to me when I was in the bathtub and I was pondering these things. And I saw this very huge structure building that was a human habitat, and it was designed completely different than what we have on Earth. And recently, I'm even starting to wonder if it was a memory, because you know how they say time is not, it doesn't exist. So it could be future, could be past, could be another planet, another universe, whatever. So I was wondering if it could have been a memory, but anyway, it felt like a vision and almost felt like a calling to bring this to the world. But then as I try to do that, nobody is believing that it could happen here on this earth. The kind of structure that is unifying humans instead of separating them into single family dwellings.
Can I just elaborate a bit? So you're proposing that we should have some kind of new age villages that would encourage society to work more as a society and less than as in each individual. So if I understood correctly, you mentioned that the biggest challenge right now is that we are not functioning as a society. We tend to function as individual. We tend to have different goals that, let's say, 2 or 3 generations before us had. And we tend to be miserable, even under a lot of stress, just because all these goals, even if we achieve them, they're all meaningless because we completely forgot about our society. And if I elaborate further, different architecture and better integration with the environment that is proposed by arcology would solve this problem of a society. And on top of that, each individual, because there would be a society that is well integrated in nature and with individuals, would heal most of the reasons for post-traumatic stress disease.
Complex or global, either one. Yes, very well put.
So who should be the initiator of this? Okay, you are you have developed or prepared and started the ARC7 movement, but who is to blame? Who should be in charge of transitioning from current architecture to arcology? Are these architects? Are these investors? Is this government? What's your take on that?
So it's a very good question. Well, it would be a combination of what I have put on a piece of paper, a list of 50 roles. Mm-hmm. And those roles, each supporting the 7 dimensions that I have mentioned in the book, the 7 dimensions of life on Earth, which is body, mind, spirit, family, community, humanity, and survival. And so those 7 are included in this plan, and there are roles in each of those 7 in each of those 7. So it ends up 49 people on this list, plus one person who is like the project manager, or in my case, a mentor who is kind of just saying, hey, let's do this. So that's why you were saying, which would it be? Would it be this person starting it or this person? Well, you need all of them.
Okay,
And so
let me jump in. Sorry. In your book, you're presenting how the future society should function. What I'm trying to get to is who in today's society would be adequate to contribute to start transition towards the future society that you are describing in your book.
Yes. Okay. So let's say we go along with that 50 roles thing, and you say we're going to create a mastermind group or a think tank that includes these 50 roles. And so you and I might be two, and then we need to get somebody with all these other skills that we don't have. And then begin the beginning stages, the very first conversations about it. And what if it took 200 years? It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that we start and we have a plan. And I noticed in my life, as soon as I felt like I had a plan that is better than this one, that's going to be a solution to almost every problem you can imagine, then you're uplifted. All of a sudden, you feel like, okay, there's a future, there's a hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And so I think just belonging to a think tank like that, or just knowing that think tank exists, I think is going to help a lot of people.
Okay. How can our listeners find out more about your plans, and how can they become part of this movement that is proposing one of the future solutions?
You can go on to ARC7, that's ARC7.com. Let's do, I own all the ARC7s. So let's say ARC7.guru. We'll start there. And then that is where I teach people this vision and kind of give them a sense of ownership, that they become part of it. They take on a role. They figure out which role is right for them. It's all part of a certification. And they then feel like they have the understanding of the whole thing, and then can start to either pick it apart, correct it, or build upon it, whichever feels right. And so it starts there. It's building from the inside out. So we build inside our hearts and minds with knowledge and understanding, and the core values that we're building upon that are very different than the ones we have today. And then start that conversation. And I feel like I did my part. I wrote the book, I wrote the course. I can peacefully die now. I don't have to be there. And then people will take it from here and build upon that. And that's the way that I set up the course, so that it will always be evolving and getting better and being corrected.
Thank you, Tere, for being my guest tonight, and looking forward to our second episode of this 7-episode series on the ARC7 project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.